The series starts with Nihal. She introduces herself as the last princess of the once great Kafla Empire family. Now, she's just a prey in her enemy's eyes, living only on her family's past glory. Nihal looks at Osman while talking, and we find out she's caught in a war between the newly rich aristocrats who rely on cunning and diplomacy. Then we flash back to a month earlier. Nihal returns to Turkey after living in France for years. When she gets to her family's mansion, she wipes the dust off her family photos, grabs her boat keys, and heads out to start it. That's when we meet Engin, who's secretly been watching her and gets really happy to see she's back in Istanbul. He goes to greet her, they joke around and seem to get along really well. Later, Engin tells Nihal about Osman's family, how they were poor and begging 10 years ago but are now among the richest in Istanbul. He says they didn't stop at buying land and mountains, they now want to buy the coastal area too, including her family's mansion. When he asks if she's really going to sell it, Nihal says she has to, because her father went bankrupt. She came back mainly to sell the place. Engin gets upset and tells her not to sell it, reminding her that her great-grandfather built that mansion 150 years ago. Nihal is moved but tells him he's too classist and asks why he thinks like that. The next day, Nihal asks her father why Osman's family wants to build such a huge yacht with them. He proudly says it's because everyone knows their family used to be the best yacht makers. Nihal isn't convinced. She reminds him they haven't built boats in years. When she reads the contract details, she realizes Osman set them up. He's trying to get them into debt, so they'll have to sell him the mansion and use that money to finish the yacht. Furious, Nihal tells her father they're not selling the house after all. The next day, Nihal goes to Osman's company and meets his mother, Songül, and his older brother, Mar. When Nihal says she needs more time to finish the yacht, Songül and Mar get annoyed, but Osman calmly agrees to give her a bit more time. When she leaves, Osman's younger brother Arda offers her a ride. He clearly likes her and tells her about his tough childhood. Later, Nihal visits her friend and asks about Osman. Her friend says he's strict, confident, and self-made, totally focused on work. The next day, Nihal goes back to the company and finds Osman waiting. When she shows him the yacht design and timeline, he says the deadline is unrealistic and doubts she can do it. Nihal insists she can and takes it as a challenge. She asks for his phone number, but he refuses, saying she won't need it. So she leaves her number instead, saying, "You'll definitely need me." Then we flash back again. We see Osman's older brother Mar working as a street cleaner. Someone throws trash in front of him, and just then, an earthquake hits. Osman's apartment building collapses, killing many people. Osman and his brothers move in with their teacher, Songül, who decides to raise them as her own children. Back to the present, Songül asks Osman why he didn't take Nihal's mansion as payment. She tells him Nihal's father fell for the trap and insists they must get the mansion. Osman gets angry, asking if their luxurious life still needs a mansion too. Meanwhile, Nihal finishes the yacht design and emails it to Osman. The next day, Osman shows up at her office in the mansion and tells her design is too predictable, too traditional. He says he doesn't want a typical luxury yacht for the rich and tells her to quit if she can't come up with something new. Nihal fires back, saying he's a self-made man who's become arrogant and judgmental, still unable to forget his poor past. Osman calls her arrogant too and says she reminds him of the ignorant rich people he used to work for. Nihal tells him he doesn't really know her yet. Osman leaves, clearly upset. Later that night, he calls Nihal and says he doesn't want the yacht anymore. He'll just take the mansion instead. Arda asks him why he canceled the deal, since that's not like him. Osman says he just changed his mind and denies he's trying to mess with Nihal, though it's clear he's trying to get in her head. He tells Arda to contact Nihal and finish the paperwork. That night, Arda visits Nihal and asks about her friend who works at his company. Nihal tells him all about her, how they've been friends since high school and share stories from her past. When Arda returns home, he tells Osman that Nihal is ambitious, hardworking, and passionate. He says Osman will definitely like the yacht once he sees it. They say Arda invited Nihal to dinner, which annoys Osman. He asks Arda why he didn't cancel the yacht deal, and Arda says he just couldn't. Nihal was too charming, so graceful in how she talks that she completely won him over with her diplomacy. Before he can go on, Osman cuts him off and tells him to leave. Later, Engin spots Nihal and asks where she's headed. She says she's going to have dinner with Osman and his brothers to discuss the yacht deal. Engin gets upset, warning her that Osman and guys like him always play dirty to control people. He tells her she's not like them and that people like that never play fair. Nihal laughs it off and tells him he's overreacting before heading to Osman's mansion. When she arrives, Osman tries to avoid her, but she calls him out and asks if he's refusing to welcome her. Embarrassed, he lets her in himself. Nihal brings a bottle of wine, telling them it's made from grapes grown in their family's 19th century vineyards. During dinner, Mar bluntly asks when her family's going to hand over the mansion, reminding her of her father's debts. Nihal confidently says she doesn't need to give anything up. She'll finish the yacht as planned. Songul quickly stops Mar, saying Nihal is their guest, and it's not the right time for that talk. Arda jumps in to compliment Nihal, saying she's brilliant and sure to build them a spectacular yacht. When Nihal gets up to leave, Osman notices her shoelace is undone. He calls her back, kneels, and ties it for her, telling her he'll be waiting for the yacht. Nihal is thrilled that he finally trusts her, and she leaves smiling. Later, at home, she looks at her shoes, remembering that moment, clearly happy. But Engin, watching her through his telescope, gets jealous seeing how content she looks. The next day, a man named Yukon shows up, saying Engin sent him to help her. Nihal welcomes him warmly and asks if he knows about her family's financial struggles. Yukon says he does, and that Engin will be paying his salary. Then Osman and his family arrive to see Nihal's new yacht design. Osman approves it, but tells her he's cutting 4 months off her deadline. Nihal protests, and Yukon warns that rushing it will cost a lot more. Osman says that's his only condition. Nihal reluctantly agrees to deliver the yacht 4 months earlier. After they leave, Nihal sits there frustrated and lost, unsure what to do next. Osman sees her looking down and feels bad. That night, she sits by the sea thinking. Osman comes over, and for a moment, he imagines her as a little girl waving at him. Just then, Engin spots them, quickly gets on his boat, and heads toward her. He tells Nihal to go inside, so she doesn't catch a cold. When she says Osman wanted to see her, Engin snaps that Osman doesn't want anything from her. He takes her inside the house and glares angrily at Osman before leaving. Later, Engin calls someone named Maurice, telling him to meet at his mansion tomorrow to discuss their new project. When Nihal asks why he wouldn't let her talk to Osman, he ignores her and instead offers to buy her mansion himself, saying he just wants to protect her. Nihal refuses, so he reminds her that she came back to sell it. She tells him Osman provoked her pride, and now she wants to challenge him by building the yacht. Engin gets furious, saying Osman's already inside her head, and storms out. Then Nihal's father, Selhai, comes in. She asks him what he was thinking when he wasted all his money. He admits he had a plan, but it failed, then reassures her he'll sell a few valuable items so she can move back to France. Nihal listens, heartbroken. The next day, Mar tells his brothers that Maurice is staying at Engin's house, and they're probably plotting to take over their business and dominate the market. Arda tells him he's exaggerating, pointing out that Berna, who's from an aristocratic family, works with them too. Mar replies that old money families always stick together. They'll definitely team up against them. Later, Osman calls Nihal, asking her for regular yacht progress reports so he can track her work. Nihal gets annoyed, saying her team is trustworthy and she's not sending reports. She asks why he's treating her like that. Osman explains that everyone who works with him has to send reports. It's standard. Nihal doesn't buy it. She wants him to treat her differently from everyone else. After that, Osman and his brothers go out on their boat to discuss business. When they arrive at Engin's mansion, they greet him and Maurice politely. Engin doesn't show any warmth and only asks them to be careful with his friend. That night, Nihal sits with her friends Berna and Verna, and Engin joins them. When Osman approaches, Nihal, clearly irritated, asks Engin why he's there. Engin calms her down, saying they're just giving Maurice a ride. Osman overhears and teases Nihal, asking if she isn't cold sitting outside. Nihal, acting cold and distant, tells him she's just chatting with her friends and offers for him to join them. He refuses, saying he'll visit another time. As he walks away, Engin notices Osman glancing back at them and, out of pride, puts his arm around Nihal to show she's his. The next day, Osman and his brothers tell Berna that Engin and Maurice are trying to take over management of the marina. They ask if she's helping them, since she's close to both sides and knows a lot about their work. Osman even asks her about Engin and Nihal's relationship, saying they're together and that Nihal wants Engin to get revenge on him. Berna fires back, saying they're just being classist. None of what they're assuming is true. Nihal isn't actually in a relationship with Engin at all. She tells everyone that the fancy girl they see, the one they think was born with a silver spoon, actually had it way harder than they did. After her aunt died, Nihal went to France, but her father went bankrupt and couldn't send her any money. She ended up sleeping on the streets for a while and working at a small restaurant just to afford a place to stay. She says she only works at the company because of her experience and education, things that took her years to build, and that she wouldn't mind quitting if anyone doubted her loyalty. Osman apologizes to her and tells her they definitely need her. Later that night, we see Mar with his lover Asli. She notices he's upset and asks what's wrong. He tells her he was thinking about his past, when he used to collect rich people's trash. He calls himself useless and says if it weren't for his brother Osman, who studied economics and worked hard, he'd still be collecting garbage. Asli tries to comfort him, but he doesn't believe her and leaves. The next day, Karta tells his brothers that Engin has hired top professionals so he can take over the port's management. When they talk to Osman, he tells them that Maurice dropped out of the port project because he couldn't convince Engin of his idea. Mar says Engin won't back down, and that he's trying to make them lose money just like they made Nihal's family go bankrupt. He thinks Engin is taking revenge because he loves Nihal and wants to help her get even, though Nihal herself doesn't care about revenge at all. We then see Nihal asking her friend Okayu, who works at a bank, for a loan. But Okayu refuses, saying she can't help her and warns her that no bank will give her money. Her family's old reputation won't matter anymore. Nihal goes home and tells her father the bank refused her, so they'll have to sell their mansion. The next day, Karta tells Berna that his friend's brother is hosting a party and invites her to go with him. She's not interested at first, but agrees when she sees how excited he is. Later, Berna visits Nihal, who tells her she's decided to give up the Ottoman mansion because she's broke and has no money to keep it up. Then she gets a call from Okayu, saying she'll lend Nihal the money privately, not through the bank. Nihal says she'll think about it and wonders who's really behind the offer, suspecting it's one of her father's old friends. Meanwhile, the bank employee tells Osman that Nihal said she'll think about the loan. Osman takes that as a yes and goes home to tell his family they'll soon move out of the mansion. He asks Mar to buy land in Aegis City. When Mar asks why, Osman says they need to pressure Engin and make him lose money like he's making them lose. At night, Nihal is hanging out with her friends when Karta comes to pick her up for the party. Osman spots them together and watches her happily from a distance. Later, Mar drives Osman to Asli's concert. Osman tries to leave, but the others stop him, saying Asli will be upset if he doesn't stay. Mar insists Asli won't care. She's a famous singer, after all, but she actually does care and keeps looking for him in the crowd while performing. After the concert, Asli texts Mar saying she doesn't want to see him anymore. He gets upset, drinks heavily, and tries to forget her. The next day, Osman visits Nihal to ask about his yacht. She refuses to help him, and he asks if she's really giving up that easily. Nihal gets angry, saying he must think she's a spoiled girl who can just walk away from her mansion without a fight. She tells him she's only trying to save herself and doesn't want to take out a loan that will make things worse. When she leaves, Osman asks her not to go, wondering how she can give up the home she grew up in so easily. He then opens up, saying when he was 5, the building he lived in collapsed, and he can't remember anything from his childhood, not even his mother's face. That's why he's so attached to memories, and tells Nihal not to give up her home. He gets close to her and suddenly kisses her, but they pull away quickly when a janitor walks by. Osman then suggests she take the loan from Okayu. Nihal, shocked, asks how he even knows Okayu offered her one. He admits he works with her and has been keeping track of things. She realizes he's the one who arranged the loan and accuses him of trying to control everything. Osman says he'll wait for her to hand over the yacht one way or another and leaves. Later, Nihal signs the bank papers to take the loan, even though she was against it before. She goes home and tells her father they'll be able to keep the mansion and deliver the yacht to Osman on time. That night, Engin visits Osman, asking why he bought land in Aegis City even though he has no business there. Osman dodges the question and invites Engin for a drink. Engin tells him he wants them to stay out of his and Nihal's family affairs. Osman agrees to stay out of their business, but when Engin asks him to also stay away from Nihal, the conversation gets tense. Engin says he's planning to cut things off with his girlfriend because he's getting engaged soon. Osman tells him he's not stepping away from anyone. In fact, he's going to compete with him at work too. Engin warns him he's definitely going to lose and reminds him that his family has been in this business for decades before Osman ever showed up. Then we see Arda telling Mar that a newspaper is attacking Asli over her latest album, accusing her of stealing melodies from old songs. Mar rushes to Asli's place and finds her house a mess, and she's been crying. When she asks why he's there, he says he was worried about her and just wanted to check in, but she refuses to let him in. When he insists he can't just leave her alone at a time like this, she snaps, yells at him that she's lived her whole life alone, slams the door in his face, and breaks down crying. After that, Mar goes to a journalist named Anwar, furious. He bangs on the guy's door and confronts him, saying he listened to all of Asli's songs himself and compared them to the old ones. There's no similarity at all. He tells Anwar he's wrong and that he ruined Asli's reputation for nothing. Anwar shrugs it off, saying he's a journalist and can write whatever he wants. So Mar punches him, breaks his nose, and storms off. Meanwhile, Nihal is sitting with her friend Berna at a fancy restaurant, and Berna texts Arda to come join them. When Arda reads the message, he tells his brother Osman he's heading out to meet Nihal and Berna. Osman gets upset, wondering how Nihal can just live her life so normally after everything that's happened. Arda ends up spending a nice evening with Berna, and when they're done, Nihal offers to drive him home. When they arrive, they see Osman standing outside with his ex, Idol. Nihal is clearly hurt but hides it. Later, Berna decides to call Idol and invites her over to Nihal's mansion, pretending it's just a friendly catch-up. When Idol arrives, Berna starts asking about her relationship with Osman. Idol says he's a perfect gentleman, charming, thoughtful, and someone who makes every day with him feel special, but he never truly let her into his private life. She remembers how he had a collection of glasses he never let her touch. Nihal quietly recalls when Osman gave her one of those glasses, realizing she means something special to him. The next day, Osman scolds Mar for attacking the journalist. He says every paper is covering the story now, and Mar apologizes, saying he just got upset after seeing Asli crying. He promises the whole thing with Asli is over and that he won't cause any more trouble. That night, Osman goes to Nihal's mansion and finds her sitting alone in the rain. He approaches her, and she invites him inside. Osman cooks for them, and when Nihal asks about his life, he dodges her questions. She jokes, asking at least what he eats for breakfast. He tells her, fish and salad. When he asks what she's afraid of, she says she's not ready to let him know her fears, not yet. The next day, Osman tells his brother to sell the land they bought in Aegis City for the same price they paid. When his brother asks why, Osman doesn't explain and just tells him to do it. Meanwhile, Nihal is cooking when she gets a call from Berna, who reminds her that it's Pinar's birthday and asks her to come to the party and to bring Engin with her. Engin later asks an employee why Osman would sell his land at cost, but no one knows the reason. Nihal goes to the birthday party with Engin. Elsewhere, Berna tells Arda she's going too, but when he offers to come with her, she says no, reminding him that he's technically one of her company's managers and they can't be seen together. Arda understands and agrees that they should keep their relationship secret for her reputation's sake. At the party, Engin and Nihal greet Pinar, and when Berna joins them, Engin starts feeling uncomfortable and leaves. Pinar then tells Nihal that Osman is the kind of guy who loves to enjoy life but isn't serious about relationships. She says he once took Idol to a place called Tower Marina, made her feel like a queen, and then suddenly broke up with her. Now he just treats her like a friend. Nihal is clearly bothered by this and walks away. When Pinar follows her and asks what's wrong, Nihal says she's confused and overthinking everything. She admits she's scared that Osman might just be playing with her feelings. Berna is surprised and takes her to get a drink to calm her down. Across the room, Engin is watching them and Nihal notices. She assumes he's looking at Berna, not realizing he's actually watching her. When she asks Berna if there's something going on between her and Engin, Berna laughs it off, saying she's disgusted by him and storms off. Engin then walks up to Nihal, and the first thing she asks is whether he's secretly dating Berna. He ignores the question and says he's never even thought about Berna. Instead, he asks if she's seeing Osman. Nihal says she'd rather not answer that. Engin immediately realizes something's going on between them and warns her about Osman, saying he's an opportunist who's obsessed with status. He tells her Osman has an inferiority complex, and that if he ever married her, it wouldn't be out of love, it would be to show off, to prove he could belong among the rich. Engin says Osman just wants to marry into an aristocratic family so he can finally feel like one of them. He even claims Osman is serious about marrying her only because it completes the image he's been building for himself all these years. Engin says that Osman would probably be better off buying a palace and living in it instead. When he finishes talking, Nihal, clearly fed up with him, tells him to take his drink and go somewhere far from her. She's really upset. Just then, Osman shows up with his boat to pick up Nihal and take her to the party. When they arrive, Mar sees them standing together and looks really bothered. Osman gets busy chatting with his guests, but can't stop thinking about what Engin said about Nihal. Meanwhile, Pinar is annoyed at Osman for ignoring her. At the party, Arda comes up to Nihal, but she immediately moves away from him, remembering how she told him before that their relationship had to stay secret. He tells her she can stay at the party for 5 minutes only, then says he'll be waiting for her somewhere no one else knows. Then Osman offers Nihal a drink and tells her he wants to spend a lovely time with her in Italy. When he mentions a place called Tower Marina, Nihal remembers Pinar's words about how he once took Idol there, and she gets tense. She asks Osman why he wants to take her there exactly, and what their relationship even means to him. Osman acts confused, saying he doesn't understand her question, so she accuses him of only seeing their relationship as something physical. He tries to calm her down and asks why she's angry, but she refuses to talk and storms off. Later, we see Osman sitting alone, clearly heartbroken. Mar finds him and says that when he first arrived at the party, Osman looked like he owned the world. Now he suddenly looks crushed. Osman says he finally understands why he broke things off with Asli, because he was scared of losing her, and now, for the first time, he knows what real loss feels like. The next day, Nihal is finalizing the last details of Osman's yacht when Yukon stops by and tells her to take a break. She says she just wants to finish it quickly and deliver it to Osman as soon as possible to get it off her chest. Later, her father, Salhai, asks her what she plans to do after handing the yacht over. She says they're in deep debt and mentions that Engin hinted about building a new yacht. If they keep up the pace and make a few more, they can pay off their debts without selling their mansion. That night, we see Nihal's friend asking why she looks so upset. Nihal admits she's miserable and asks to be left alone. Engin arrives and tells her friend they should support Nihal. When he finds out she's sad because she broke up with Osman, he laughs out loud and teases her, asking if she really dumped Osman that fast. Meanwhile, Osman calls his brother Arda and tells him to go to Nihal to check on the yacht's progress. Arda visits her, but when he sees her, he gets distracted. They end up together in the kitchen preparing drinks. When he gets too close, she pulls away, worried someone might see them. Arda gets frustrated and asks why she's hiding their relationship. She doesn't answer, so he storms off and later tells Osman he couldn't get any information about the yacht. If Osman wants to know, he should ask her himself. So Osman visits Nihal in person. She shows him the yacht, and he's really impressed and happy. When he asks when it'll be done, she says soon and walks away. Later that night, Asli appears on TV in an interview. Reporters ask about the secret behind her new album's success, and she credits Yafuz, saying his lyrics brought her songs to life. Mar watches the interview, gets upset, and throws his phone aside. Then we see Mar with his family. He tells them Engin invited them all to dinner, probably to thank them for selling the Asia lands. Mar says he doesn't want to go, but Osman insists they should. He wants to find out what Engin is planning. Elsewhere, Berna tells Nihal she's upset and asks if she has time to talk. Nihal says she's free and asks what's wrong. Berna confesses she's fallen in love with Arda and that they even went on a trip to Italy together. Osman arranged it so no one would see them and they could be alone. Nihal realizes that Osman's trip idea wasn't exclusive to her after all, and she feels relieved. His intentions had actually been innocent. The next day, Osman waits at the marina for Nihal to deliver the yacht. When she arrives, she apologizes for what she said before. Osman asks what exactly she means, but she says she'll explain everything after showing him the yacht. Osman, however, doesn't care about the yacht. He only wants to know what she meant. Nihal is happy to see he still cares, but tells him she'll explain later. The yacht is unveiled, and everyone celebrates. Arda in particular looks proud. That night, Salhai visits Osman and asks if he liked the yacht. Osman says it's perfect, so Salhai tells him he wants to make him an offer. We flash back to Osman's childhood. He's on a boat, smiling and waving at a little girl, young Nihal, standing in front of her mansion. His real mother is next to him, but when he looks at her, he can't see her face clearly. He's forgotten what she looked like. Back in the present, Nihal thinks about calling Osman, but before she does, Engin shows up. She asks him for a hug and says her yacht is broken. It feels like she's about to lose another thing in her life. Engin comforts her and says he'll fix it. He works on the yacht until it starts running again. When he returns, he tells her he has something serious to confess. Nihal laughs and says he's never talked to her like this before. Engin says she always acts innocent, but at her age, no one can be that naive. When she asks what he wants to tell her, he admits he's been in love with her for a long time and asks her to be his girlfriend. He promises that with him, she'll never be unhappy and that he'll always make her smile. Nihal is completely shocked. Later, Salhai meets Osman again and tells him he's treated Nihal unfairly for too long, that she deserves to live her life in peace in Europe with Engin. He even offers to sell Osman the family mansion if he still wants it. Osman is stunned to learn that Salhai plans to marry Nihal to Engin but says he'll think about the offer. Meanwhile, Yafuz tells Asli that her new song is breaking records online. When he gets closer, she suddenly bursts into tears, and he has no idea why. Later that night, Osman and his family arrive at Engin's mansion for dinner. Singal notices a beautiful painting hanging near the dining table and says she once saw it at an auction but didn't know Engin was the one who bought it. Engin proudly says he made a deal with the auction house before it even went up for sale. They'd never refuse him anything. He brags that he's always gotten whatever he wanted since childhood, unlike Osman. Osman calmly admits he's not used to buying everything he wants. He just appreciates the beauty around him. Engin smirks and says that must be because Osman grew up poor. Osman replies that he didn't just grow up poor, he grew up having nothing. He says he started with a tent, then a house, then finally the mansion he lives in now. He built himself up from nothing and learned strength through hardship. Then he asks Engin, "Would you even be sitting here right now if you'd been born without anything to your name?" Later, Osman tells his brother that now he understands why Nihal apologized to him. She was saying sorry because she's planning to marry Engin. Osman tells Mar to call Salhai and tell him he's buying the mansion. Mar goes home and finds Asli waiting for him.